Hi guys, in this video we're going to talk about how to stop procrastinating. So the first tip when trying to break the habits of procrastination and not getting any work complete is to get organized. Now the simple process of being a more organized individual, and that could be organized in a range of different ways. That could be lists, that could be charts, that could be apps and software that help you better organize your time and time management skills. The more organized you are, the more likely you are to be able to grapple with the reality of the tasks that you have in front of you. When you understand the tasks that you have in front of you, you can start to break them down into small little attainable chunks or pieces. And as you gradually work through each of those individual tasks, you can start to see progress. And when you see progress and things moving forward, you get motivated and your motivation increases, and you can actually find yourself moving towards what's called a flow state. This is where you're in a situation where you start to create even tempo of completing tasks for yourself. And as those tasks start to drop away and be completed, your brain gets into this state of completion, and it gets basically addicted to the completion of these tasks. And that's what people sort of often reference as a state called flow. And that's the optimal place you want to try and get to when trying to complete tasks. Setting simple, attainable, achievable goals for yourself is one of the best ways to stay motivated and complete tasks while beating procrastination. When you set goals that are actually achievable for yourself or for your team or for your business, it's far easier to get that early success and see yourself move forward with the different tasks that you have in front of you. Some different ways I like to set achievable goals are by breaking them down into individual pages or individual notes or individual to-dos. And with these individual to-dos, you can put subtasks or related relevant notes to the actual task you're trying to perform. As you start to work your way through these tasks, what you actually discover is you incrementally achieve the small subtasks that are on each bigger task. And by moving through those tasks, you start to have this continued success and completion rate as you move through those different goals. The next trick when trying to beat procrastination is having a really firm grasp of your schedule. Now, one of the things you want to do is make sure you have impeccable time management. If you're anyone like me, it's very difficult to manage your time, especially when there are tasks that you need to complete for yourself, a la this video. One of the ways that I think works really well for most people is by putting the tasks and having it associated to a specific calendar event. This way you can block out time chunks or time boxes as you work through individual tasks. So if you associate a task with a time box, then you can work through that task, complete the task, and make that time box a success. And as you start to stack these time boxes on top of each other, you end up with a highly successful day because you're already in this state of flow that we talked about previously. One of the things you find about really unproductive people that procrastinate a lot and get nothing done is they continually bounce from one task to the next without having clearly defined goals and objectives to achieve or mark that task as a success. So definitely think about trying to block out time for specific tasks, see through the completion of that task in the time box that it's allocated to. Almost everybody works better with a deadline. Even if you create and impose arbitrary deadlines on yourself, it's going to increase the likelihood of you completing tasks. By making yourself accountable either publicly or privately to the tasks that you have at hand, you're more likely to complete them. If you complete tasks and are less distracted and less confused by the deliverability of the tasks that you have in front of you, it's far easier to get them complete. If you don't set firm deadlines for yourself, you'll just let the tasks run on forever and ever. So, this is where the calendar thing really comes into handy, and having like a really good structure to your calendar. The other thing that I like to do is work in sprint cycles. So this is basically going I'm going to work for 20 minutes, or I'm going to work for 2 hours, I'm going to work for 2 weeks, right? And you might have small tasks that you can do in 20 minutes, bigger tasks that take 2 hours, and bigger projects that take 2 weeks to work through. And as you work through those cycles, you have an understanding of which tasks are going to be completed within which cycle. And the deadline gives you basically a criteria to work within. And if you've correctly broken that task up and don't try and do everything at the end, then you'll be in a situation where you see ongoing organic progress to the completion of the task that you've set out in front of yourself. This is it. The single biggest contributor to procrastination is distractions. You have to completely remove distractions. You can't have websites that you like to frequent. You can't have magazines and books sitting around you that you love to look at. You have to get the phone out of the same room as the task you're trying to perform. You need to make sure that there's less games on your phone. You need to make sure there's less apps, social apps, both on your phone, and you need to block them out on your computer as well. Also, people can procrastinate by manufacturing distractions. They can try and work on their appearance, or they might want to all of a sudden clean their room that they haven't cleaned in months because they think it's going to make them more productive. All of these are traps, right? And if you allow yourself to get distracted and continually look at the next shiny thing, you're never going to get anything done. And it's really important that you remove those distractions. It's also super duper hard at the moment. You know, we're all working from home, and we're all on top of each other in quarantine. So it's super important that you carve out time for yourself, and you carve out a space for yourself to become productive and be distraction free when you're trying to do the work. One thing that a lot of people like to do when they're trying to be more productive is time themselves. Now, you can use things like a Pomodoro technique, or you might even use the app Forest that lets you basically grow trees as you're being productive. It doesn't matter what it is. You could use an egg timer or a stopwatch. You could even just look at the clock. The thing about having that calendar with the tasks and a clearly defined time period is it makes you accountable to that time box, and it allows you to complete that specific task in that amount of time. And if you go over, then you can reallocate that task to the future. But if you don't time yourself, if you don't have an understanding of the amount of time that it takes you to complete a specific task, number one, you're never going to be able to understand how much that time is worth to yourself or someone else. And number two, you're perpetually going to be behind the eight ball, always trying to find more time to complete the task that you have in front of you. I think one of the things that people rarely realize is that you can't just power through a whole day of like mega productivity. You need to take a break sometimes, and you need to go for a run or a walk. You need to have some quiet time. You need time for reflection, right? The same way your body needs sleep at the end of the day to process the day's events, you also need breaks throughout the day as you complete tasks. One thing I like to do is take a bit of time in the morning to go for a run and just ready myself for the day. And then as I'm performing tasks throughout the morning, around lunchtime or sort of early morning, I'm going to hit a point where I need to have a bit of a distraction and just take 5 minutes away from work. And studies have actually shown that if you take regular, small incremental breaks in between long periods of prolonged concentrated work, you'll be more productive. So take that time and make sure you take breaks so that you can come back reinvigorated to perform the task that is in front of you. One of the other great ways to make sure you're not procrastinating is by imposing or giving yourself incentives to work towards. When you've got clear goals that you're trying to achieve, tying them to rewards can often be quite helpful. The thing is, you just want to get yourself to a situation where you're completing tasks, because as you complete tasks, that is a reward within itself. And you'll end up in this situation where it starts to snowball, and you'll be able to complete more and more tasks. So anything that you need to give yourself initially, it might be like, once I've completed these 2 tasks, I get to have real coffee, or once I've completed these 2 tasks, I get to have some delicious lunch, or once I've completed these 2 tasks, I'm gonna go for a really nice walk outside to reset. Maybe you wanna get a surf or a ski or a snowboard, whatever it is, like giving yourself that incentive and that basically that reward for the success of the completion of task is super, super important for you to be able to feel that you are continually moving in the right direction. That's it for today's video, guys. Let us know in the comments below how you stay productive and how you keep yourself and your team accountable for tasks that they have in front of them. If you like this content, hit like and subscribe. There'll be many more videos coming shortly. Peace.